And then I went out in my yard and scrounged up some of the last maple leaves to create some texture and stamp with. So I hope you'll enjoy this video. That'll inspire you to break out your art supplies, go through your stash, and get creating. So let's get started. Come across some things on Pinterest where people have burnt holes. There's a lot of art out there where they've burnt holes in paper. And I just thought it was really fun. So I went on a deep dive into that and found out there's different ways you can do it. And I tried it different ways. I used, one gal did it with a match, a long match. And with that, and it does work, but it took forever. And anyways, the best way that I've found works with one of these little burner tools. And I bought this one years ago. It's mine, just happens to be a walnut hollow. I don't know if they make this one anymore, but they're like under 20 bucks. And I think they're made for wood burning or leather or something. And I'm not even really sure what I originally bought it for, what I was gonna do with it, but I dug it out and here I am going to do it on some papers. And what I found is, I mean, once you heat it up, it just goes right through tissue paper. And then if you want bigger holes, you can just keep going around, touching that area and make bigger and smaller. And you can get all different sizes to your heart's content. Tissue paper, I found, does not smell bad. There's not much of it here. They have different tips that come on these also. I like this pointy one because then you can make little smaller ones as well as the bigger ones. So anyways, that's what you do. It also works, I found that it also works on deli paper quite well, although I prefer it on the tissue paper more. It works great on deli paper. I have not tried it on printer paper, so I'm going to try that now. Yeah, it works just fine. Let's see if it makes, if you can make the bigger ones easily. Oh yeah. Now what I have learned is that when you store these in a drawer, you're going to get little pieces of burnt paper all over whatever else it's in there with. So, but that's not a problem for me. I mean, it just comes right off. You blow it, you wipe it, whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's very fun. It's fun to sit here, put something on the television or watch one of my videos and sit, and you can just do this for a long time and really make some fun papers to work with. Okay, but because that does take a long time, I'm using a piece that I did already. This is a piece that I did a couple of months back when I tried this out, and so I'm going to use a little bit of this today. I've done this next technique a couple of times in past videos. I'm going to do it again today because I need some more. And I just take a stencil on white tissue paper. I learned this from Sean Petit. And I've just got a Ziploc container that I bought at the holidays years and years ago. And I have three. I have my dark gray, which is what I use the most. I have a black and I have a white. But like I said, this is the one I use the most. You can buy these little foam rollers, replaceable foam roller sets at Walmart, Home Depot. Lowe's has them for like $3 and you get 3 sponges. I have not replaced a sponge yet, and I bought these last year. When I'm done, I put a little bag on the handle, lay it down in here, as you can tell, this side down. to protect my handle. And then I can just come in here and go again. I still have wet paint in here and I haven't used this probably for 3 months. So yeah, and I haven't used, this is still the first roller of this one. And I think I bought 3 different packages for $3. And so then you have the different colors, and anyway, big fan of that. And then you just take your roller on top of your tissue paper. I like working on sheets of wax paper that have a piece of tape down the middle to hold 2 together so that I can move this to another part of my room down here to dry while I do the next one. And then I'm just going to gently go over my stencil. Try to keep it still. Not doing very good at that today. This gives you a rough kind of, you know, grungy feel, which I love. Not perfection, but I think that is very fun. But this makes it a lot faster than if you stencil it with a piece of a sponge. And that's why, one of the reasons why I love it so. And then I like my dark gray. Many of you know I like my dark gray. It's just not quite as harsh as the black. And this dries super fast also. This is just cheap tissue paper that I got at the dollar store. I like to dip it in, touch just a little bit of the paint, and then roll it off down here a little further. Make sure I don't have it gooped on there too much. And I'm not pressing very hard, I'm just lightly going over. If you want to go back over it, you can, to get the desired amount of paint on it, the coverage that you want. And I think having it globbed on is a look too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, if that's the look you're going for. After this one, I'm going to try my smaller number stencil to see. I've never used the smaller, I don't remember if I have anyway. If I used a smaller stencil with the roller to see how that transfers. Well, I talked about transferring to another part of my studio down here, but I just, with the tissue paper, it lifts up all by itself because I don't have very much paint on it. So I can just move it by itself. I don't need to. But I also like how it protects, even though I'm working on glass underneath here, and that cleans up super easy. It's still a little bit easier when I'm on the wax paper. Being kind of spotty like that, so that is fun, 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 fun. Holding it down is the hardest part. For my next bit of preparation, I went out and got some leaves from the last maple tree to drop its leaves. They're not looking good, but they're still, I think, will work because they're flat enough is all I think that matters. My idea is to, on the back side, and these are dirty too, I did not wash these, didn't do anything to them, but on the back side is where your veins really are prominent. So what I want to try is putting some paint on the back side and then pressing it down, stamping it onto my tissue paper. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Okay, it does work. It's got a tear in it, but I think I can use it a couple more times. This one I'm afraid is too dry, but I want to try it anyway. I kind of tap it on so that I don't, I mean, these are fragile and I don't want to tear them up any more than I have to. Sorry about the ugliness of my arm. I was all healed up and from playing with the puppies, and then she got me again last night. We like to play rough. I always put gloves on, but I think I'm going to have to make some arm cuffs out of some old leather gloves or something to keep from them accidentally. And they don't bite hard, so it doesn't hurt that way, but as I'm getting older, it sure breaks the skin easily compared to when I was younger. Not that I'm going to promote them biting me. Please don't leave me comments that you think it's horrible that I like to have fun with my puppies, and I've always done that with my dogs. I've never had a dog that bit anybody. And then I've got a little bit of my barn red, my burnt orange, my dark yellow, and my green. Okay, I think I want to do one more round. No large ones this time. Okay, so I want to put a little bit of green. And this might become a big muddy mess, but we're going to try it. What are you doing, little dog? Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, now I want to start my collage. I've got my Strong's Exhaustive Bible concordance that I got at a thrift shop. Very, very cheap. And I'm just going to I just love the look of this. I think I'm just going to tear some pages out. Probably one at a time would have been better. But I think I'm going to leave the straight edges this time. We'll see. And then I've got my holy pages. This is what you get with the burnt, okay? So I'm wondering if I really I could get some more of them off before I go in to put my collage. But you can see this stuff can be messy. Not can be, it is. So keep that in mind for what kind of project you want to use it on. I do think this is helping to get a bunch of it off, but I still see some really dark edges that are remaining. So I don't know. This is the first time I've ever used it. So we'll see what happens. And then I've got my, I think I want to use a few numbers and some of my dark gray leaves, but we'll see what happens as we go. I've got my matte medium. Just using an old Starbucks credit card, as you can see, to smooth out my wrinkles, my air bubbles, pockets. I thought I was going to go straight, but as oftentimes happens, you get going and change your mind. That's part of the fun to me. The credit card works, but I don't like it as much as I like my little blue trowel, but I have a little plastic blue putty knife. Oh, here it is. That's what I wanted to be using. But it was tucked away and I missed it. All right, I think I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to tear my holy paper off to the side so I don't get more bits that I need to over here. I think putting this on a darker color would help it show up better, but I figured this is just be a fun way to try it out. Yeah, it's not going to show up very much, but that's okay. I think that is cool. Oh, that's fun too. I like that. And it's not as messy once I got some of the black off. The other thing I like about working with painted tissue paper, it's really nice when you're going over texture, where other papers may be hard to work with. Tissue will just mold right in there. All right, while everything's still wet, I want to add a few of my background colors. I think it's a good start. I love how it looks so far. And so I'm going to stop here and let this completely dry. And then we can move on to our next layer. While I was having lunch, I decided I want to add a little turquoise into my canvas. And so I've got my, this is a turquoise with a little bit of gray in it. And then I think I want to add a little more green, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So I think we'll just try a couple and see what we get. Okay, better. All right, so now we'll let this dry. Now since I've got a colorful background going on and I want that to be my focus, so I'm gonna put out some of my khaki. Ooh, oh goodness, a little clog there. And my off-white. And then I think I want to come in with a little bit with my kind of grayish teal at some point, but I'm not going to get that out yet. I've got my water. I've got a paper towel to kind of wipe up as I go. I don't even know if I'm going to use my off-white. I kind of like the effect I'm getting with the white coming through in spots. I'd like to add in a little bit of my turquoise gray in a few spots. Got to let this dry completely before we move on. I went out into the yard and this poor tree has only got some leaves at the top. It's about done. And so I scrounged around on the grass and found these leaves that I hope. I needed something, all the leaves from yesterday were dried up and crackled and fallen apart. So I thought that isn't gonna work. So I put out some regular red, some bright red, and added a little bit of my barn red to it to make just a little bit. You can see the two there. Make a little bit darker red, but not quite as... The leaves outside, I think, are a little bit darker than that. So let's put just a little bit more. My idea is to have a paste and then putting the paste down as texture paste with color onto my canvas. But I want to try it first so that I don't go on to my canvas with something I don't like or isn't going to work. So what I want to do, I'm not going to use the, I normally use this Fastra Alex Fax It's a DAP brand product. It's called Alex Fast Dry. Come on, Shelly. And it's an acrylic latex caulk plus a little bit of silicone. It dries in 20 minutes if you put a light amount on. It's supposed to be 50 years, good for 50 years on the outside of your home. It's soap and water cleanup. I love the stuff. This is what I've been using for years. It's fantastic. But I bought some of this transparent paste by Ranger to see what it does in comparison for certain projects where if you add paint to this, it greatly diminishes the color of the paint because it's white. And you got to add a lot of paint to get the vibrancy that you want. But then when you do that, then this becomes very loose. So, you know, it does have some limitations. So I wondered if a transparent paste would work. So that's what I want to try. And I don't have very much of it. So I'm going to start with a little dab, and I want to do this for several colors, so I'm hoping. Can I brush this on and get a cool effect, or would it be better just to use paint and call it good? You definitely get some texture there. All right, I think it'll be fun. Although my red is still not dark enough now, I'm thinking. So let's put a little bit more of our barn red in there. Okay, so you can dab a little bit up and come back in with get that texture back a little bit, I think. The key is not putting too much on, trying to find the sweet spot, and each leaf is different. Some of them have more pronounced veins than other ones. I think that makes a difference as well. So if you're a person that's really going for perfection, this is not the project for you. But if you kind of like to wing it and play and have fun and try stuff, then I think you should try this. It's really fun. Okay, so I've got all my leaves painted. Now I am going to attempt to speed up my I forgot to do all the stems. I'm going to speed up my drying time with my heat tool, and maybe they will just curl up and fall apart. I don't know. Like I said, we're just experimenting. We'll see what happens. I think I'm going to use Mod Podge for this because I've done it with things in the past that I wanted to preserve and put on the front of a canvas, and it's worked out well. So I'm hoping it will in this case. And I'm going to do both sides. This is what I do when I have a paper focal point that I'm putting on the outside of a canvas. And my paper ones have lasted for many, many years without any problems. So, but I've never done real leaves, so who knows how this is going to go. I will not dry these with a heat tool. I don't know if you've ever tried to dry something Mod Podged with a heat tool, but the matte that is not really 100% matte. It's more like a satin finish to me, but will turn glossy if you put high heat to it. All right, so we'll let those dry. All right, my leaves are dry, and here's what I've learned. They're very cool, and I think they're gonna last, but you know, again, I won't know till down the road. But I did peel them off. If you Mod Podge things and put them on wax paper, leave them alone to dry completely before you try to peel them off. They peel off great if you will let them dry completely. But I was anxious to see how it was going right before I went to bed last night and peeled them up to flip them over to make sure they were dry by this morning. And so I peeled off some paint, and so not optimal, but this one I put down on the wrong side. This was supposed to be the good side. And so I have some where the paint peeled up and marks from the Mod Podge. So here are the leaves that are in the best shape. This one's got a little bit of tear in it, but is still good. This one has a tear in it as well that I had before I started, which I'm okay with. So, but I think in looking at them that these two, I think I want to use 3 leaves. I think I'm going to use these 3. And then I just need to decide how I want to put them on the canvas. I kind of like that. I don't want it too perfect. I think if I put a glue thing here and here and here is all I need, is those 3 spots. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little raised glue form. What are they called? Tape. Those glue, raised tape. Anyway, and then I'm going to add a little glue around them as well to make sure everything is glued down nicely. I'm not going to put glue everywhere, just on those couple of spots. And this is not something that I'm selling. This is something I'm keeping for myself. That's why I went with the red leaves over one of the other colors, because I like to accent with red in my house. I think the red gives it a nice pop of color. But you're able to manipulate it a little bit without fear of it falling apart or crumbling, or so I'm really liking that. But again, don't know how long it's going to last. So message me down the road if you ever think about it and you think, hey, I wonder if that's still 2 years from now, you're going, hey, are those leaves still? Well, that's my canvas. I love the texture, had a blast doing it, and I hope you'll try doing something like this. And I hope you'll join me in my next video. Bye for now.